What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are. Hope you're having a good one. Alyssa, Leon, what have you done? It's a magical day. Happy birthday, Alyssa. What's up, everyone? How are we doing? So, welcome. If you're new around these parts, Sheenan, hey, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. 3 months. Let's go. Alrighty, folks. Welcome back. We got a good class tonight. Tonight's one of my favorite classes. It's about arrays. Arrays are where it starts to get a little weird, a little bit fun. You start to see the power of JavaScript. So I'm excited for you to see the power of JavaScript. Wolfgang, thank you for the sub. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hype train out the gate. Let's go. KDXM, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you being here. 4 months. Woo, let's go. Ooh, Miriam with the 4 months. Thank you so much. Look at these folks go. Hey, everybody. Welcome. So tonight is arrays. What? Tonight is arrays. It's my favorite thing. It's where JavaScript gets a little funky. So JavaScript gets a little bit harder. Gets a little bit weird to understand. But once you understand arrays and you understand the methods around them, a whole bunch of doors start to open up. Oh, we got a lot of folks popping off. Oh, Rossi, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. 5 months from Ora. Yeah, 5 months. Thank you so much. Omar is happy. Thank you so much for the sub. Bezos is money. Let's go. All right. So we got arrays tonight. We got some other stuff we're going to review. Of course, we're getting Jimmy. Thank you for the sub. Thank you for being here. Tonight we got review, of course. We're going to review arrays a little bit, conditions a little bit, functions a little bit. We're going to lay the foundation because we're getting into a little bit of the harder stuff, arrays. Next class will be objects. We're hitting all the basics, right? Kickoffs, thank you for the sub. Thank you for being here. All right, we're hitting all the basics. We got some fun stuff to do tonight. Lots of fun practice problems. Get your fingers on the keyboard. I'm excited that you're here. I'm happy that you're here. Manny, thank you for the sub. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. So, as always, I like to start off with some questions. Blink, thank you for the sub. Thank you for being here. I always like to start off with some questions. So we're going to switch to Little Leon. All right. I did JS30 on my mom's computer, and it was at her place during break, and I didn't bring it into my hard drive. Can I get a day to turn them in? Absolutely, Todia. It's all right. Thank you for telling me. Woo! Yovi, thank you for the bits. Thank you so much. Did I miss somebody there? Dak O'Neill, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Oh man, you guys are popping off. This sub train's not stopping. Zay the Beast, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Man, we got stuff to get to. We got things to do today. I appreciate all the love. We got some fun stuff to get into. Now, you can see on the slides here that it is a special someone's birthday today. Right? That's why we all showed up today. Today's not about class, right? Today, liquid words, thank you for the gifted sub. Today is about somebody's birthday. And this person is very, very important to this community. Alyssa, day in and day out, keeps the riffraff out of this Twitch chat. That kid Neptune, thank you for the sub. I'm gonna pause on the announcement. I gotta say this first, and then I'll get to everyone that pops up. Alyssa keeps the riffraff out. Alyssa keeps the some of the stuff that gets posted is just mean. It's dirty. It doesn't belong on Twitch. It doesn't belong on Discord. And Alyssa's just wading through the muck, pulling it out, getting rid of it so you never even have to see it. Right? Alyssa sees it all and handles it so that you get a better experience. Right? Now, this happens every day. And in chat, what you don't see here on Twitch, they're putting in the work too. I was just talking to another mod yesterday. I don't want to name them, but I was talking to them yesterday. And they were like, I want to help, but Alyssa's too fast. So not only are they putting in the work, but they're doing it expeditiously. They're getting it done. And so from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything you do for this community. Happy birthday, Alyssa. And I can't just do it like this. We got to pull up the B-Day opening. So here we go. Happy birthday, Alyssa. I'm going to sing it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alyssa. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all you do. I hope you enjoy. I love this GIF. Is one of my favorite GIFs on the internet. This is me some days. On a good day, that's me. All right. Happy birthday. Really appreciate you being here. We got some questions to get to, folks. Some questions to get to. Let's get through some of these subs here. Thank you so much for everything, for everyone being here. Liquid Words with the Get This sub. Thank you so much. That Kib Neptune, thank you for the 2 months. BB Tone, thank you for the 3 months. Roya 25, thank you for the 3 months. Sarat, thank you for the 300 bits. Mansa with the hydration. Cheers to you right out the gate. Ooh. Got the big boy today, folks. Got the big boy. I don't know if this popped up yet, but Sarat, thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right. Did you see that the Gengar pillow is sold out? I was just looking at the plushes on Pokemon Center like yesterday. Go for Mitch. Thank you for the sub. So PokemonCenter.com has all the plushes for sale. I had a Rillaboom one up on my like external monitor. My wife walks in and she says, "How are you doing?" And I say, "Not much." She said, "How are you doing?" And my response was, "Not much," because I was looking at the price of the plush. I thought that was pretty funny. And she was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, nothing. And so I quickly hid the screen. All right. We like to do some questions first. Thank you so much for the gifted sub. Thank you so much. We got some questions. See if we got some questions today. I did not see the pillow though. I gotta go back and take a peek at that. In the JS31 function, bang audio, why does that work? So a lot of things in JavaScript, a lot of the syntax. So sometimes you don't put curly braces, sometimes you don't have parentheses. Sometimes you don't have curly braces. JavaScript, you can get away with that stuff. You can get away without putting curly braces, just like you can get away without like using semicolons now. A lot of the punctuation and the characters that we come to use regularly, JavaScript kind of works just fine without some of them. And so you're going to see some folks that write shorthand or a little bit cleaner code without them, particularly on one line, and it just works. So we'll see that more as our JavaScript develops, but yeah, it can work without them. 12 Pogo, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the sub. Level 5 hype train out the gate, folks. We're popping off today. So where's today's challenge? Today's challenge, I created a new channel. On Inside 100 Devs. And in the 100 Devs channel, there is now a daily challenges channel, just to keep it a little bit cleaner. And so every day the daily challenges will be going into that daily challenges channel. So if you're looking for the daily channel, daily challenge, go into that specific channel inside the 100 Devs. If you're having trouble seeing it, you might not have been a part of 100 Devs, or maybe you forgot to click the button, but there is the Join 100 Devs channel on Discord. You click both of those icons at the bottom. One adds you to 100 Devs and the other adds you to House Hamilton. If you're already in the house, don't worry about it. But if you need to be added to the 100 Devs channel, you click that one for 100 Devs, and that'll open up all the 100 Devs channels for you, including the daily challenge. Okay, so I didn't want to keep putting them in the materials, so I put them in the that special channel. We're adding a lot of new channels to Discord, folks. We're cleaning some things up. We're making some things better. We have some new things that are going to be happening. So on Thursday, we're rolling out some new stuff, some new special interest channels that we desperately need, some new things that I think are going to help make Discord a little bit better. And we're going to get rid of some stuff. We need to make it a little bit smaller. Unfortunately, the community is not always at its best yet. We're new. We grew really fast to thousands of people in this Discord on a regular day, but we're still having some troubles. We're still having some folks that are not accepting the fact that this is for folks that are new to coding, that may have trouble, that may be stuck, that may be lost, that may be behind and are trying to get caught up And so what we need to do is we need to come together as a community to make sure that everyone feels supported, to make sure that folks can come to Discord with questions and know that they're going to get answers and not snarky remarks. So we're upping the moderation. We're adding new moderators. I'm going to be super present in some of the channels I think are hotspots. And if you're not being supportive, if you are not helping folks when they come with any question, I don't care if you think it's the question that we've answered a dozen times and you feel like you need to respond to that with snark or without being helpful, get a moving. I'm just going to kick you, and that's going to be it, because this is something we tried doing it the nice way, right? We tried doing it the nice way. I put out a post. I told you to leave. I told y'all to act right. But some of you didn't take that to heart. So right now, I need you to take that to heart. I want this to be the best community for developers of all skill sets and experiences. I want folks that are 10 classes behind to be supported as much as the folks that are 3 classes ahead. And if you're not ready to commit to that, if you're not going to be able to handle the fact that someone might be a little behind, that JavaScript is fucking hard and it's not making sense, and you want to respond with some snark or some snide comments, you're out of here. I'm just going to kick you. And then Alyssa's going to ban you. And that's going to be it. And for the longest time, I felt some type of way. I felt like I wanted to give everyone a fair shot. Well, I've given you your fair shot. This is your 3rd warning. If you can't be nice, this is not the place for you. Honestly, it's not. I want every single person. I want folks that are just here on Twitch right now that saw us the #1 spot on Twitch for science and technology. When they come and they start 100 devs, !100 devs in chat. When they start and they're on class 1 and they're in the 100 devs channel asking, how do I write HTML for the 1 millionth time? I want you to smile and tell them exactly how to do it. If you can't do that, if you can't keep the good vibes only, you're gone. And I'm not going to lose sleep over it anymore. I hope you realize, like, I put a lot of work into this. I put a lot of time into these slides, put a lot of time into these examples. I put a lot of time into answering your questions, to being on Discord. I'm so behind on DMs, but I promise you I've been answering a hell of them, right? And I lose sleep over this. I lose sleep over the fact that folks don't feel supported on the Discord. And I'm done. If I think you're toxic, if I think you're not going to be supportive, if I think that you are not the best fit for this program and to help every single person on that Discord channel, I'm just going to remove you. And I'm not going to lose a sleep over it anymore. Okay? Because this isn't the place. It pains me when folks DM me and say, hey, Leon, I tried asking a question and people were mean. Fuck that. We're over that. I don't care if we go from 2,500 to 10 people on that Discord. You're all gone. Shape up, act right, help people. Help people. We came together because of a pandemic. The reason why this was started, the reason why a huge percentage of y'all are here is because we're in the middle of a global pandemic. And if we can't come together over that, I don't know what we can come together over. So straight jacket, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. NZ said it, just be nice. How hard is it? I mean, really. You would think it wouldn't be that hard. But for some people, it's pretty damn hard, I'm realizing. I'm finding it's, I'm seeing it's pretty damn hard for folks. And if you suck at it, if you suck at being nice, just don't talk. Come to class. Get your shit done. Book time with me one-on-one. DM me directly. Right? But no more rudeness in Discord. No more not helping people. No more bullshit. If we see it, you're gone. You can still come to Twitch. You can still hang out. You can still take the class. But you don't have a space on our Discord. Okay? For Christ's sakes. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. It's Alyssa's birthday. How can you do this on Alyssa's birthday? Daddy Yankee, be nice, or be nice to your Yankee deck. Right? Alyssa. It's Alyssa's birthday. Come on. If Alyssa's birthday can't bring us all together, nothing ever will. So, this is your last warning. This is the last time I want to have this rant. Before you type any, it's the number one rule in our Discord. It's literally the number one rule in our Discord. Before you type anything, is this thing the most helpful thing you can type in this moment? That's it. That's all I'm asking you. Do that. That's it. If we can all agree to that, we can build a beautiful community where folks feel supported, where they can get the help that they need. And if you can't commit to that, snip, snip, you're gone. All right, everybody. I hope you realize this comes from love. I hope you realize that this is not me trying to single any person out. I hope you realize that I want this to be the best community for new folks learning to code that it could possibly ever be. And it's a lot of folks. It's a lot of people. Things aren't perfect. Class could be better. Discord could be better. The community could be better. And we're going to work on it. I'm committed to it. I'm committed to putting the work. Our mods here committed to putting in work. We're going to make this the best community we can. And if it's not, if there's something wrong that makes you uncomfortable, that makes you feel like this isn't the best place to learn, please let me know. Seriously, either through mod mail or through DM, please let me know so that I can fix it, or at least try to fix it. Also, you can always do !report even right here in Twitch if there's something egregious. It's a link to an anonymous report. And so even if you don't want your name attached to it, there's a way to report things and get help. Okay? So please do these. All right. So Keto12, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Will, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. And Daddy Anki with the 5 months. Woo! Cheeky Devil, can we submit some of the homework on CodePen if we coded them there? Yeah, sure. CodePens are okay. Yeah, that'll be fine. I'll have to do some things manually, but that'll be fine. Yeah, if you already have them in CodePens, that's okay. You can do that. All right. There's no check-in today. Instead of checking in, I'm asking you to follow Alyssa on Twitter. Their Twitter hasn't stopped. That's a great thing. Send them some birthday love on Twitter. Please don't flood them on Discord or here on Twitch because they're a moderator. But Twitter's the place to go. Alrighty, folks, we got some fun stuff tonight. Let's talk through it. We talked a little bit about 100 devs. I wanted to get that off my chest. I'm gonna kill the music here so we can get into it. Please help me make this the best community that we can make it. Please support each other in that Discord. Please offer help no matter what stage someone is at. Please reach back if you feel like you're ahead and help those that are behind. If you're behind, please reach out to the folks that you think are ahead and let them help you. Please, please, please. The whole reason we're doing this is because of a pandemic. We wanted to make sure folks had more opportunities. We have a chance to do something really special here. Let's take that chance, please. All right. We're going to review some functions and some loops tonight. Just some basic review, kind of like we've been seeing in the past couple classes, just to get that spaced repetition in. We're going to learn about arrays. We're going to learn about how to iterate through arrays. We're going to learn about array methods. And then your homework is to review the objects the objects reading from the break homework so that we can get into objects on Thursday. Okay. These are kind of like the last of the big ones, right? These are the last of the big ones. We have the big four, which are variables, our conditions, our functions, and our loops. Then the last two really big things in JavaScript are our arrays and objects. With that knowledge, we can really build whatever we want, and then it starts the time to get into overdrive, right? This is a 30-week program. We're in week 9. That means at the end of next week, I want us to be done with the basics of JavaScript. Like, I want us to feel like we know the core things of JavaScript. We might not be masters of it, but we at least have seen and have worked through all the core aspects of JavaScript. And now it's time to add some theory on top of it and start to actually use it to solve real problems. So first 10 weeks, we're kind of ramping up HTML, CSS, JavaScript. The next 10 weeks are going to be practical applications of JavaScript and full stack development. And then the last 10 weeks are building and learning all the accessory things that we need to be phenomenal software engineers. So we're coming up on a third of the way through, and we're going to start, like I said, ramp. All right, so submitting your work. The break homework you can submit through this Google form. And then the coding challenges, I'm going to ask you to submit all 5 of them on Friday. So there will be a coding challenge every day. I realized that they didn't go out auto-magically because I was cursing in them. And so the bot on Discord was stopping another bot from sending out the message because I said heck in it. So I hopefully fixed that, and you're going to start seeing the messages come out regularly in the morning. So every morning, the daily challenge will go up in the daily challenge channel, and then you'll be able to see them and answer them. We're in a little bit of a weird spot right now, right? We're in a little bit of a weird spot right now because we're at this point where we're still submitting work, but we haven't gotten to Git and GitHub yet. That's next week. After our Git and GitHub lecture, everything's going to be on GitHub, and our process for like submitting code and for me to review code gets a lot better. So the coding challenges, I'm just going to ask you to submit all of them at one go on Friday, and then the same thing for next week. But after that, you'll be pushing code daily to GitHub. If you don't know what Git or GitHub is yet, don't worry, we'll get more into that next week. But the idea is that we're like in this weird in between where we're doing some good work and we gotta submit it somehow. But in 2 weeks, everything changes. Oh no, I missed the message. What is it? What did it say? Hold on. Oh, it doesn't show me in the thingy. Booty Liquor. Hey, thank you for the 500 bits. If you could repost your message, I didn't get a chance to see it, and it's not in the feed for some reason. But hey, thank you for the 500 bits. All right, so we're in this weird spot. Thanks for letting me stay with my borderline name. Absolutely, Booty Liquor. What will we do? So we're in this weird spot. Submitting work will still be through the forms. I'm going to ask for all the daily challenges on Friday. Same thing will happen next week. And then we're switching everything to GitHub. And it's going to be a lot easier. Life's going to change. Submitting work is going to be a breeze. No matter what, you don't have to worry about code pens or Google Forms or anything like that. So we're almost there. Can we submit stuff by the end of day today? Yes. Please don't worry about submitting right now. After class is totally fine. End of day today is totally fine. Also, it'll be end of day Friday. End of day Friday. Also, please, something that I try to, I don't know if I've told you all this yet, but I like to tell my students this: God, family, academics, right? That should be your priority for this course, right? If you have obligations that preclude you from submitting work on a specific date because of your religious observance, please just let me know. And then that way we can change deadlines for you. Please don't anger your Lord to get my homework assignment in on time. Okay? If your family or a family member is sick or needs care, please don't stress about getting my coding challenge done. Please take care of yourself and your family first. I appreciate when you let me know so I know what to expect and how things are going. But please, please, please prioritize that. I had a lot of folks that get really panicked and they send me a DM. I appreciate that hustle, but take care of your family. You can always let me know and we'll get you caught up. Okay. Just want to say that. And then academics. Okay. A lot of folks over break got sick. I know you're catching up. It's okay. Thank you for letting me know. I have a lot of DMs I still got to get through. I plowed through a bunch today. I'm going to get through hopefully the rest today after class. I thank you for reaching out, letting me know. Prioritize the things you need to prioritize and it'll be okay. We'll make it work. All right. Can we submit homework for older classes? Absolutely. Yeah, if you have to catch up, if you're in House Hamilton and you want to get stuff in, sure. My gift game is off the charts. I try hard. I'll tell you what. The coding is the easy part. The gift selection is what's hard. Spend a lot of time on these gifts. Searching, finding, perfect one. Is this like The Bachelor? If we start missing work, we get kicked out. If you're in Touring and Hopper and you stop turning in work or you miss assignments, yes, I'll ask you to move to a different house. But if you've communicated, right? Communication is key. If you've communicated and you told me what's up, what's going on, we'll be able to make it work. Okay. When are we getting new music? Thursday. Thursday we will have some new jams for us to work through. The Shrek will haunt me for life. Remember, networking is on, folks. You should be networking. You should be meeting with folks already in tech. You should be setting up your coffee chats. These things are happening. Alyssa, second merch drop Thursday. Second merch drop is Thursday. So yeah, Thursday's a big day. We got a lot of new channels on Discord. We're cleaning it up a little bit. We're gonna have some changes to stream that I've been trialing. We're gonna have some new music. It's a big day. You should be excited for Thursday. And then the following week, oh boy, the stream is can't wait. Please no bikini this time. I gotta have the bikini. That's the OnlyFans unlock. I'm sorry. Remember, use the networking sheet. It's your guide in life. It's where you're going to put all these connections. Make sure that you're using the sheet and make sure you're doing all the things that we talked about in the networking class. You can find that networking class on YouTube. It might be helpful to review. How do you follow up? Some examples on how to follow up. Remember, you're not just networking. You're also following up. You're following with an email. Then you're adding them on LinkedIn. Then you're adding them on Twitter. If you're taking it to the next level, you're setting up Google alerts, right? Like you're taking this process seriously. If you're new here, learning to code is not what gets you jobs. It's the networking that gets you jobs. And so I need you to focus on that component because it's important. Now, a lot of folks have reached out sometimes the networking can be hard or difficult. That's okay. Let me know. We'll find solutions that work for you. Also, if you ever want to talk to me one-on-one, you can always do leonnoel.com/booktime. I believe it's !book time. There's still some slots towards the end of the month open. Y'all jumped on them last stream, and I had 40 people sign up within like 2 minutes. It was wild. So yeah. Might not be book time. What is it? It is. What is the command? Let's see. Oh, I don't think we have the command set up. I'll set up the command during one of our breaks. But yeah, just leonnoel.com/booktime. That works. Cool. All right, so you got the networking and going. You're getting coding challenges done daily. What you're going to notice about these coding challenges are there going to be some things that are kind of familiar and one thing that is not, right? So there's going to be something that's familiar and then like one thing that's not. That one thing you're going to have to start getting into the flow of researching and figuring out how to solve, right? So there's going to be something you're going to have to figure out. There's going to be something a little bit different. How do I round down, right? That's going to be something you're going to have to figure out, right? So there's going to be like these little things that you're going to have to start getting those research juices going. When I'm writing code, and I don't know how to do something, I've built up that flow of being able to solve my problems really well. And that's what I'm trying to get into with these daily challenges, kind of pushing what you already know, having you to do a little bit of research, right? That's what we're doing. Map.floor. Hey, let's go. There should be if Domino's had an affiliate fee, oh man. I feel like we would have made a couple thou off of people being hungry during stream and ordering Domino's. Cool. Are we timed with the coding challenges? No. You have all day to get them done. Starting not next week, but the following when we're submitting stuff to GitHub. They'll open in the morning. Like I'll have them. Creator, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'll have them open like at 12:01 a.m. in the morning, and you'll have all day to push that code to GitHub. So don't worry about that for this or next week. You can kind of take your time with them. But in 2 weeks after we're feeling comfortable with Git and GitHub, I'll be looking for them to be pushed every day. And the reason I'm doing the daily challenges aren't just because I want you to do them. The reason why we have these daily challenges is because I want you, one, practicing every day, but two, I want you pushing code to GitHub or pushing code to a repository every day so that when employers start to look you up and they start looking at your GitHub to see the code that you've pushed, they see, oh, this person is about it. For months, they have pushed code every day. I can't tell you how much that has been the difference maker for my students when an employer looks at their GitHub and they just see a wall of history. That's going to make you stand out against any other candidate. And you're not writing some backbreaking like work. You're doing these smaller challenges every day and then pushing them. So when an employer looks at your site, looks at your GitHub and they see that wall, they're like, all right, at least I know they're like actively doing code. Right? This isn't just a course for them. They're about this life. They're pushing code every day. Yeah, it'll be 12 a.m. Eastern. Yeah. Cool. Git commit did stuff. Yep. If you're not seeing the daily code channel in Discord, make sure that you are in 100 devs. So join 100 devs channel and then click both the icons at the bottom. Cool. If you're new and interested in learning to code and want to go on this 100 devs journey, ! 100 devs in chat will give you everything you need to know about 100 devs, how to sign up, how to catch up. And of course, thank you, Alyssa, for building the FAQ on that page. That's what I'm talking about, folks. This doesn't happen without Alyssa. So once again, thank you. Happy birthday. Yeah, if you go to like 100 devs, like if you go, there's a new page. If you go to leonnoel.com/100devs or you do ! 100 devs, There's all the information you need about how to sign up, how to catch up, some stuff that was there when we first started announcing it, and then this entire FAQ. Alyssa, boom. Please follow Alyssa on Twitter. Gonna take that. And we're gonna put that into chat. Oh, and Okayla did it too. All right. So Okayla, we gotta get your Twitter and put it in chat for me too, please. Because Okayla helped with the FAQ as well. I'll put your mention down here as well. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right. Alrighty. Paid client due February 2nd. Should be reaching out, put in some work to get that paid client. The number of folks in the celebration channel and that were here on Twitch the other day. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. What? Indifferent Ghost. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for doing that. Whoa. Look at these folks getting these gifted subs. Hey, thank you so much. Paid client due February 2nd. Number of folks that got paid clients that posted in the celebration channel and that posted on Twitch blew my mind. What? Y'all out there doing it. Let that be your motivation, right? Seeing these folks that put themselves out there, had those awkward conversations, pitched them on things that they've never pitched before, and they got these clients coming in the door. Kudos to everyone that's gotten a client so far. For those that are still struggling, putting in the work, keep going. You got this. If you need help, ask for help. Be there to support you. Not easy, correct. Had a client call me, but he wanted to see actual client work of mine and not just mock-ups. How do I go about this? All right. I want you to build me. I'm thinking about building a restaurant. I'm thinking about building a restaurant. I'm thinking about starting a restaurant. I want you to build me a restaurant website. I am now your client. I am now your client. Right? I want you to build me my restaurant website. Chat, what should be the name of our restaurant? What should be the name of our restaurant? It has to be like a real sounding name though. It has to be like a real sounding name. As much as I love Spicy Leon's Pizza Joint. Papa Leon's, I think we get in trouble with that. Leon's Pizza, Little Leon's Bistro. Don't sue me, Domino's. Leon's Lucky Lasagna. Poconos. Bob's Boba. Oh, Omar got it. Omar got it. Bob's Boba. I want to open up a boba restaurant. A boba spot? It's not really a restaurant. It's like a spot you get boba, right? All right. I want to open up a boba spot. All right. I want you to build me a website for Bob's Boba. I am now your client. I'm not going to pay you, but I'm your client. And I want you to build me Bob's Boba. And here's what I'll do. For anyone that builds me Bob's Boba, and it has to look clean. I'm talking like perfect. It looks good on my phone, my tablet, my desktop. It has ordering. People could actually order boba if they wanted to. You do that, and I will be your reference customer. I'll talk that talk. I'll get on that call with people and be like, yo, this is the best developer I've ever worked with. You have no idea, like, the things they've done for me. They changed my boba life forever. I got you. So there's like 300 people here. If you already got a client, please don't do this. If you don't need help with a client, please don't do this. But if you do need help, if you've been in a scenario, where somebody said, I want to see your other clients, I want to talk to your client, and you've been stuck, I will help. I will set up a new You Can Book Me link that you can send folks. Once you send me the completed boba app, where I will talk that talk and I will be your reference customer. any means necessary. Let's get this done. So, February 2nd. Getting turned up, folks. Tonight is arrays. Thursday is objects. These are the heavy hitters. These are the things that this is where the trough of sorrow becomes weird and people give up. So we're gonna take our time. We're gonna introduce arrays today. We're gonna introduce objects on Thursday, and then we're gonna spend next week actually building stuff with them. We're gonna make sure we review everything on Saturday. Ask tons of questions because it can be confusing if this is your first time. I'm going to ask you to go back and reread the objects reading before Thursday's class, but we're going to keep picking up. We're going to start tackling the harder stuff, folks. We're going to start building harder things. We're going to start doing more stuff, and it's just going to start getting a little bit more, okay? Remember, you hacked the system to start because the system is hacking you. Hell yeah. Can I get that on a t-shirt, please? Hell yeah. Let's go. Cool. All right, let's get into it, folks. We got some stuff to do today. We got some stuff to review, and then we're going to get into arrays. We've been going for a little bit already. New merch. Yeah, there you go. If I got past eloquent JavaScript, I can get through anything. I feel that. I think that's true. If you can get through that, you're good to go. You're ready. Yeah, don't if eloquent JavaScript got you, that's a totally normal feeling. We're going to start making stuff make sense. I wanted that to be your first hit. We're going to make stuff make sense. All right. Ooh, Mayu, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. There we go. Got the big boy tonight. Let me pull this up over here. And we got a pop. Oh, we got a couple hydrates. Why aren't these popping up? Let's see. All right, let me get these. We got some stuff going here. Let me get some of these hydrates. Rezo, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Wilson F baby, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Mayu, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. And Medi with the posture check. So let me get these 3 sips in. There we go. Let me get my posture right and get going. Hold on. I gotta make sure my party hat's still in the right spot. See, the posture check threw it off. Let me move it real quick. There we go. All right, cool. Party hat's in the right spot. We're good to go. Thank you for the posture check. Winter, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Let's go. We got some stuff to do here. All right, programming. A computer will do what you tell it to do. We're getting some of our spaced repetition in. We've seen these things before. We're making sure that we're flattening our forgetting curve. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, watch the first class on YouTube where we talk about these really important topics. What is program? A program is just a set of instructions that you write to tell a computer what to do. Therefore, the act of programming is just the task of writing those instructions in a language that the computer can understand. So we're writing JavaScript because JavaScript makes sense to us as humans, and then JavaScript is broken down in something that the computer can then actually understand and do things with. Alrighty, let's start taking apart these kind of key pieces of JavaScript. As we move through it, we're learning the specific syntax of JavaScript, the spelling and grammar rules, the punctuation that makes up the language. And a lot of this is flexible. A lot of this stuff is fluid. It's where some of the hardness or the difficulty of JavaScript is because sometimes you don't need curly braces. Sometimes you don't need a lot of the characters that we've come to rely on. But we're going to start seeing that syntax as we progress. But right now we're focused on the big 4 and then adding arrays to it. So talking about the big 4, we have variables. Variables, you create a space in memory. So we have memory. And then we can put stuff into that space in memory. Here, we are declaring a variable. So we create a space in memory called age. And then we are assigning that space in memory a value of 25. So we're putting 25 into that space in memory. And we can do both at the same time. We can declare and assign all on one line. Cool. Alyssa, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. I sacrificed my OnlyFans points. Yeah, that was a good rhyme. I'm not going to lie. Maybe I'm a rapper in another life. Who knows? All right. Conditionals. When we want to check for something, we check to see if something is true. If something is true, we do what's inside of these curly braces. If it's false, we can move on to our else if and check that. If all of our conditionals, all of our ifs and all of our else ifs are false, then we have an else that will auto-magically run. And so that else will just run. It doesn't need to have something that it checks, right? And so you can have ifs, then you have as many else ifs as you want, and you don't need an else, but you can have one if you want something default to run, okay? Chat, what's the danger of assignment versus comparison? What's the danger of that? I'm going to keep bringing it up because it's important. It's one of the things that that comes up. It's a problem that folks run into when they're beginning. Yeah, one equal sign is reassignment, meaning that if you have a conditional and you just put one equal sign in there, it's not going to compare something. It's going to reassign something. And in JavaScript, that is a true statement, and therefore your conditional will be true and run what's inside the curly braces. It's weird. It happens. Make sure if you're doing comparison, you're using 2 or 3 equal signs. Remember, 2 equal signs is just value. 3 equal signs is value and type. All right. We can have multiple conditions that we check for. In this case, we're checking to see if name is Leon. True. Status equals Ballin. True. So you get the wink at the camera. So we're comparing 2 things and both have to be true. We can have or, where just one has to be true. So in this case, it's either Saturday or Sunday. If either of those are true, we know it's the weekend. Cool. We're powering through this, folks. We want to get to review. And then we're going to get through this review. We're going to do a practice problem, and then we are going to take a break. What are functions? Functions are just simple sets of instructions. They should be reusable. When we get to kind of writing clean code, they should perform one action, and they are the basic building blocks of all of our programs, right? Programmers over there, the equal sign and doomed generations of developers. All right, here's what a function looks like. Chat, let's play our favorite game. What is this? Chat, what is this? We haven't done that before. What is that? What did I just circle? What are those? Oh, I need to get my Stream Deck game up. I need a what are those meme to pop up. Yeah, it's a function name. Dope. Let's go ahead. What is this whole thing that I've just circled? Cool. Function declaration. Those are my Crocs. Function declaration. How about this? Ignore the comment above it. What is that, chat? Function call. Cool. How about this? This one's a little easy. Parameter. And how about this? Arguments. Nice. Alrighty, folks. Let's keep it moving. Here we have a function example. We have our lovely function declaration up here. We have a function call down here. We are passing in string hello as an argument. That argument falls into our parameter of word. Wherever we see word, it's actually the string hello. And so we alert hello. And that's what we see in the browser. Cool. Loops. We're chugging along here, folks. Just getting some quick review in. We're going to do a review problem set, and then we're going to keep moving. All right, loops. They help you repeat an action some number of times. There are three main types of loops in JavaScript. We have for, while, and do while. We've seen for and while so far. And each of these different loops just to kind of offer a different way to determine when to start and stop your loop. Okay. Here's an example of a for loop. If name equals Alyssa and day equals birthday, query selector Leon, class list, add party hat. Hell yeah, let's go. Hold on, I gotta do the dance. That kid makes me happy. I want to know him. I hope he's older now. Like I hope he's like 25 and we can become friends. If you're out there on the internet, kid that danced at Chuck E. Cheese back in the day, I want to be your friend. All right. Thank you for the code, Alyssa. Here is a for loop. He's still at Chuck E. Cheese. You know, so I didn't ever even ask to like. I really wanted to bid on the animatronics from Chuck E. Cheese. They were selling them, and you could actually have bought those like really creepy animatronics. That would have been like a life goal complete. So one of these days, somebody's going to get rid of them or is not going to want them anymore, and I'm going to get them for cheap. But I wanted so bad to bid on them, but I heard it went pretty wild. Anyway, that's my Chuck E. Cheese segue. Let's get back to the for loops that we're all here for. Here's an example of why. Just like a bunch of people saying, no, why? Because they're dope. Like, think about like all the cool electronics that has to be inside of like getting those characters to move. And they're so old too. Like, what was doing like the music synchronization? Like, that's just some really cool old technology. I would love to like know how all that worked. And so I hope whoever buys it like puts it all on the internet, like in detail. You can buy one. We can give it the Office Space fax machine treatment. I just did that. My wife and I went to a rage room and we destroyed some stuff. It was amazing. It didn't really it didn't like awaken anything deep inside of me. Like I was happy about that. It was fun. It was a really good workout, but I wasn't like, I must do this on a regular basis. So I'm proud of that. It makes me feel a little bit better about myself. Here's a for loop. I'm sorry. Let's get back to what we're here for. Here's a for loop. Here we have three things that we care about. We have setting up the iteration. We have when the loop will end. And we have how much our increment goes up by or down by each time the loop runs. So in this case, I starts off at 1. And the very first time it runs, it'll console log 1. And then I will go up by 1. Then we'll check, is 2 less than 5? That is true. So then the loop runs again and we print 2 to the console. Then we're going to add 1 again. And then we're going to check 3 less than 5. That's true. So we print 3, add 1 again. 4 less than 5. That's true. Print 4, add 1. And then we're going to do is 5 less than 5. That is not true because they are equal. And then we stop. So this loop will have printed 1 through 4. If I wanted this to print 5 as well, what would I have had to have changed? What would I have had to have changed about this loop to make it print 5? Nice. Yeah, we would need the less than or equal to, because when 5 equaled 5, that would have counted and we would have printed 5 as well. Oh, I also like less than 6. That would have worked too. Yeah, good idea. Yeah, if we had done less than 6, kind of the same reason why we stopped at 5. would be the same reason stopped at 4. The reason would be the same reason we stopped at 5 here. So that works. That's cool. We also have while loops. And while loops are really good for when you kind of don't know when you're going to reach your end condition. So this one, it seems pretty standard. We're going to do the same thing that we've done before, except instead of having our iteration as part of the conditions, we're doing our upping our iteration here inside of the loop. And so each time this runs, we're going to add 1 to count. Okay. So the first time this runs is 0 less than 5. Yes. So we console log 0. Then we add 1. 1 less than 5, 1. And we keep going. Right. Eventually, we're up to 5. And since 5 is not less than 5, the next iteration does not run. So a little bit different than a for loop. A little bit different scenario when you would use it. We're going to start seeing some examples when we would really want to use a while loop. We're going to see some examples when we really would use a for loop next week. And so we'll get some more practice with those as well. All right. We are almost at the top of the hour. So what I would like to do is let's go ahead and take our break a little bit early. And then when we come back, we're going to work on this coding challenge. So let's go ahead and put a 5-minute timer on here. Smart countdown timer. Let's put 5 minutes on the clock here. Take your 5-minute break. Please do what you got to do. Hydrate, stretch, move around a little bit if you're able. And we will be back here in just under 5 minutes. I'm going to get up and stretch too. See you in a second. Straight jacket. Thank you for the stretch. You know, it's not that kind of stream, so I'll be right back. I got addicted to the Pokemon MMO. Oh no, now I'm going to need to play it. It's a good stretch. Oh yeah. Birthday Simba. All right, I can get Birthday Simba. While we're on break, I'll get Birthday Simba. Hold on. I'll be right back. Come here. Kiss. Look at camera. You look at camera? You look at camera? Oh, can't get you on camera. Let's see. Hold on. He's like, no, Dad, I don't want to be online. Kiss. Kiss. You don't want to kiss me anywhere? Treat? There you go. He's a birthday Simba. He's your birthday Simba. There you go. Happy birthday, Simba. There we go. I didn't put music on. Oh, we were sitting here without music this whole time. I'm so sorry. There we go. We were listening to Simba. I thought you were going to hold him up in the air. Trust me, we do that on a very regular basis. He's a big boy, though, so he's a little heavy. Can we deploy our homework on GitHub pages instead of Netlify? Sure, that's okay for now. Yeah. I have my tour shirt on, and it's getting green screened out, which is funny. You got a minute left, folks. If you haven't, got to stretch in if you're able, or grab some water to hydrate, please do so. We'll be back in a minute. Would it be too distracting to make a give Simba a treat micro Leon reward? I don't think it'd be distracting. Simba likes to like be on the couch. And so I like to keep the door to this room closed so that we don't hear stuff in the rest of the apartment. So it'll be a little weird. Maybe we can have like a day where Simba is in the room and then we make like a deal of it and like make it a reward. There was one other reward that we wanted. What was, oh, it's the Spicy Leon rant reward. I got to put that on there. That's definitely coming. We're putting that on there. My wife and niece are big fans and are wondering if they can schedule time with you, discuss your hair care routine. Yeah, absolutely. There's still, I think, a few slots left on leonnoel.com book time. Feel free to grab one of those. There's a couple in like 2 weeks or so. Happy to talk about hair care routine. Come on back, folks. Why is there no winking here? I'm not sure. Spicy Leon on demand. Just did 100 squats. Good for you. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I got 30K channel points I'm ready to give up for some rants. All right. We'll make it happen. We'll do a special day since we'll ask. We'll do a special day where Simba has Simba cam set up. Maybe during office hours we could do it. That'd be fun. Like during office hours have a Simba cam. Yeah, we can do that. I have 2 cams. So we can make that happen. Maybe during office hours. That'd be fun. Cool. We'll do it. I'll figure it out. All right, let's come back. There you go. Yeah. So Alyssa has DMs turned off. So you can ping them in channels, or you can use mod mail. If you ever need the help of mods, you don't have to DM them. Just send mod mail. Mod mail goes to all of our mods. All the mods will see it, and we can actually answer your questions way faster. I answer mod mail before I answer anything. So like my Discord hierarchy is we have a mod chat that I check first, then I check mod mail, and then I check Ask Leon. So if you have specific questions that you don't want to be publicly asked, use mod mail. That's probably your best bet. And then my DMs. Yeah. But that should be for like help, not like technical help, but like program help, things like that. Cool. All right. I feel like the color is a little off because I moved the cam, but more important than that, let's check the birthday hat. All right. Birthday hats. All right. We got to move it a little bit. Mm-hmm. All right. Cool. Birthday hat's good. We're good. Let's go. All right. So we have a Bring It On All or Nothing coding challenge. And so if you go ahead and open up the JavaScript file, there's a couple challenges here. There's some variable stuff, some function stuff, some conditional stuff, and a loop thing for us to work on. So let's go ahead. Let's put 5 minutes on the chat here, 5 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and take 5 minutes to work on this. If you are new and you need the starter code, you can do !Discord in our chat. That'll get you to our Discord community. Once you agree to all the rules, there will be a follow along materials channel. In that follow along materials channel will be the zip for today that has all this starter code. Yeah, 100 devs. Yeah. So you'll find all the zips there. Go grab them if you need them. Welcome to some of the new folks that we've had in here. Kibishi. Bye, Dobbs. Yeah. Welcome, welcome. Moshi, welcome. Oh, sorry. Let me get the music going. Oh, I can't wait for the new music on Thursday. We got this. So quiet. I'm sorry. There you go. We got the music going. The file is in the follow along materials channel. Should be the most recent post there. Pork, always feel like I'm playing catch up. Going to see if I can get this upcoming Tuesday also. I can attempt to catch up. Hey, well, hope you get a little bit of rest on that day off. But yeah, be great if you can catch up. It'd be awesome. Good luck. Let me know if I can help. I like that West Boss calls this stuff cardio. Yeah, that's funny. Let me see if I can get the... All right. You got about 3 minutes left. Dig deep. You got this. The fact that I can do this in my head now is crazy. Rockefeller nerd. Hey, glad you're getting this stuff down. I'm the Michael Scott of this bootcamp. The Office did something really cool on Twitch yesterday. I don't know if you all saw that. It's real, Johnny Cakes. Thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Yeah, exactly. Indifferent. It's the repetition. Yeah, The Office did something cool yesterday. They did a trivia contest where folks got access to like Peacock Prime or whatever they call it for free if you won the trivia. The trivia questions were hard. They were hard. Blah, done. That's what I'm talking about. They asked you. So one of the questions that was that stumped me was they asked you which of the following ingredients was not part of the ingredients on pretzel day, because you know there's like all the ingredients that the guy rattles off. They asked, could you like pick out the one that wasn't? I thought that tripped me up. That was the one that got me. All but the last done. Noxia with the Dunzo. All right. Donarino. I like that. Floating pizza. Done. All right. Minute left, folks. You got it. Lil Wayne's done. I love it. Tuccini. George Codewell, done what I understood. Hell yeah, that's what I like. Done what I understood. Absolutely. Get what you can done. I like that. That's a good mentality. The last one's Fizzbuzz. I get so excited when I see it. Yeah. Done what I understood too. Wilson F. Baby. Yeah. Map done. I love it. Far as you could go, look at words. All right. Diggity done. The done. D4E. Alrighty, folks. About 15 seconds left. You got it. Finish up. Finish up. What are the key differences between divs and sections? Sections have a little bit of more semantic oomph behind them. Some reasons why you would use them. Divs kind of lost their semantic meaning when it came to HTML5. Not that you shouldn't use them, just that sometimes there are scenarios where other things just make more sense now. Yeah, we talk a lot about that in our first HTML class. Alrighty, folks, come on back, come on back. Let's go over these together. All right. Declare a variable, assign it a Boolean, and alert the value. Chat, what is a Boolean? What is a Boolean? What is a Boolean? True or false? Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's declare a variable. Let's go ahead and say let Pokemon plush equal true, because I will be getting that Rillaboom plush soon. So Pokemon plush equals true. Declare a variable, reassign it to your favorite color, and console log the value. So let's go ahead and call let favorite color equal, and we'll start off with black. And then we're going to reassign it to your favorite color. I'm not going to tell you my favorite color. I feel like that's OPSEC. So we're just going to say blue. I didn't alert it. Sorry. Thank you. Let me go ahead and alert it. You're all on your toes today. Pokemon plush. There we go. We got the alert going. Nice. Declare a variable. Black. Reassign it to your favorite color, not my favorite color, blue, and then console log the value. All right. Fave color. Cool. All right, there we go. Looking good, looking good. Create a function that takes in 4 numbers and returns the sum of the first 3 numbers divided by the 4th. Return the result and call the function. All right. Function. Add 3 and divide. Cool. We know that this add 3 and divide function is going to take in 3 numbers. Let's go ahead and do n1, n2, n3, and n4. Just placeholders for our numbers. That's all they are. And then let's go ahead and we're going to return. So we're going to set up our return. And then we're going to sum the first 3 numbers and then divide the third. Now, according to PEMDAS, division takes priority over summing or addition. So I'm just going to throw these in parentheses and do n1 plus n2 plus n3, and then we're going to divide it by n4. Yep, and we return the result. So that looks good. And then let's go ahead and call this. Add 3 and divide, and let's pass in 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. Should work. Oh no, Pork, sorry to hear that. Create a function that takes in 2 numbers, console log the first number to the power of the second, call the function. We saw this recently, so we should feel a little bit more comfortable with this one. We saw this one in the other stream. So let's go ahead and create a function. And we're going to call it to the power. Let's make it called num to the power. Num to the power. Cool. We know we're going to take in 2 numbers, so n1 and 2. Remember, you can call these parameters whatever you want. I'm just using n1 and 2 because it's representing of number 1, number 2, right? And then we are going to console log the value. Now, there's a couple different ways that we've seen how to do to the power. Chat, what are some ways that we could do to the power? Oh, you're already ahead of me. I see 2 different ways. I'm a fan of math.pow because it makes me feel like an old-timey superhero. I love it. Yeah, so we can do math.pow or we can do double asterisk. I love that y'all know double asterisk. I've interviewed some folks that are like mid-level JavaScript engineers and they didn't know double asterisk. So I think that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and do, just to feel like an old-timey superhero, let's do math.pow and we'll pass in n1 and n2. Cool. All right. Let's look at this conditional. Oh, Destroyer getting all the cheat codes out there. I don't know if they're ready for those cheat codes, Destroyer. All right, conditional. Create a function that takes in a Boolean and a string. If the Boolean is true, alert the string. If the Boolean is false, console log the string. All right, now, there's a lot of ways to do this, right? But the way that we've been doing is through conditional logic. There's also something called a ternary, which could be really helpful here, but we'll get into ternaries a little bit later. But if you kind of jumped ahead, that's something that you could have seen here. But let's go, we're getting our space repetition and let's use our conditional. So create a function that just alerts, a Boolean and a string, and alerts the string. So let's call this function if true, alert string. All right, there we go. And we're going to take in a Boolean and we're going to take in a string. Cool. So let's go ahead and set up our conditional inside of our function. And we're going to say if, and what we can do is we can just say B, right? Because if it's true, then that'll evaluate to true. And then we would just alert the string. Else, oh, actually, maybe we should do an else if, just because we were pretty explicit. It had to be false. Could it be something else than true or false? I don't know. It's an interesting question in JavaScript that we're not yet ready to answer. And so we can do not B, or we can say B. Let's just do else. Let's just do else. I don't want to get into that mess of clouds right now. Chat, what am I talking about? Why can we get into some mess here with evaluating true or false? What's something weird that can happen with true and false? What are some interesting things? Yeah, there's this idea of truthy and falsy. So if you didn't get to truthy and falsy in the reading, or if you haven't heard of this before, I want you to look that up after class today. So part of your reading for homework will be to look up truthy and falsy. Okay, I want you to come ready next class to tell me what truthy and falsy means and how we're going to be able to use this. All right. Now, there's also something that we could do that's called a ternary. And I want to show that real quick just because I think it's fun. So this should be console log, by the way. Sorry. We could go ahead and do something that's called a ternary. And it makes this a little bit, it gets rid of the kind of the conditional here. I just want to show it because I think it's fun. We can do B like this, and then alert string, or log the string. And so this is a little bit of a neat thing that's going to pop up in JavaScript that you're going to see. It's something neat that we're going to get to when we start doing our coding challenges. A ternary, yeah. And so what this does is it evaluates something here, just kind of like a conditional evaluates, right? Just like a conditional evaluates, it evaluates true or false. If it's true, it does this thing. If it's false, it does this thing. So it's pretty neat. It's kind of like a conditional, but it keeps it on one line. It's checking to see if it's true or false. If it's true, it does the first thing. If it's false, it does the second thing. So that's pretty neat. I like it. You're going to see it a lot in JavaScript. Yeah, Mitch, it's clean, right? So that's something you're going to see. Let's not leave that in here for the example, though. I want to go back to the original one just because we've been practicing our conditional logic. So let's keep our conditional logic intact. But that's something you're going to see. I saw some folks mentioning it in chat, so I wanted to show it real quick. Yeah, exactly, Alyssa. Yep. So you're going to see that as we start getting more into some of the more fun stuff with JavaScript and some more of the fun like ES6y type stuff with JavaScript. And you're going to use them a hell of a lot as we get into our daily challenges. So they'll be coming up. Cool. Let's look at the loops down here. All right. Create a function that takes in a number, console log all the values from 1 to that number. But if the number is divisible by 3, log fizz instead of that number. If the number is divisible by 5, log buzz instead of the number. And if the number is divisible by 3 and 5, log fizzbuzz instead of that number. So this is a very famous interview question called the Fizzbuzz problem. For a long time, this was one of the most common interview questions. And then everyone was like, wait a minute, everyone's asking this question. So they stopped asking it. And then maybe about like 3 or 4 years ago, it had this massive resurgence because people were saying, wait a minute, if you can't solve Fizzbuzz, you most likely might not know how to code. And you definitely didn't study for this interview because every interview prep guide known to Tarnation has Fizzbuzz in it. So it kind of came back with a vengeance, and a lot of companies ask it, or they ask it in a slightly different way. So like I said, I see hundreds of coding challenges every month just because of all my students that are taking coding challenges. I see this pop up maybe like 10 to 20 times in those batches or some variation of it. Like people are still really like honestly asking this question or some variation of it. So that's something that you'll see pop up. So let's go ahead and answer this. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, all right, we're going to say 1, 2, fizz because 3 is divisible by 3. 4, 5. Oh, sorry, buzz because 5 is obviously divisible by 5. Fizz because 6 is divisible by 3. 7, 8, fizz. Well, I went down below because 9 is divisible by 3. Buzz because 10 is divisible by 5. And eventually we get all the way up to 15, where 15 is divisible by 3 and 5. So we print fizzbuzz instead of the number. All right. That handwriting. Right. So the idea here is that we want to make sure that we're typing our numbers or printing out the numbers as long as they are not divisible by 3 or 5. And the gotcha that people that wrap up in here, the gotcha here is that you have to make sure that you start with the 3 and 5 condition. Otherwise, you'll never be able to hit the fizzbuzz. So that's kind of where people get tripped up on this. So let's go ahead and solve this. Create a function that takes in a number. We're going to call this fizzbuzz. And we're going to take in a number. So I'm just going to say num. And then I'm going to have my conditional here. I'm just going to say if, just to start it off, I'm going to say if num equals, num mod 3 equals 0, right? And num mod 5 equals 0. What does this mean? What does this mean? Yeah, I haven't gotten to the loop yet. I want to talk through like the conditional logic first, and then we're gonna add the loop. What does that mean? Yeah, we're checking to see if the number is divisible by 3 and if the number is divisible by 5, right? That's what we'd be checking for. So if we passed in, let's say I just ran this function like it is, like I don't have anything else. Let's say I just have this function and I passed in, like if I called it and I passed in, fizzbuzz and I passed in 3. Let's put a console log here. I put a console log in here. Would anything happen? Nope. Right? Nothing would happen because it's not divisible by 3 and 5. It's not divisible by both. So that's the thing that trips most people up. So let's go ahead and build this out for real. Let's build out our loop. But now we understand kind of that thing that trips people up. So we need to be able to loop through our numbers. We're going to start at 1 and go all the way up to the number that's passed in. So let's create our for loop here. Let's go ahead and do let I equal 1. We already said we want to start at 1. So let's go ahead and start at 1. And then we're going to say while I is less than, it says to that number. So less than or equal to num, right? We're going to go from 1 all the way up to the number. Each time we run, we're going to add 1 to I. Now we can throw our conditional in, but we're going to change it from num to I. Cool. So if I is divisible by 3 and I is divisible by 5, we want to print to the console Fizzbuzz. Whoop. Cool. There we go. Let's go ahead and do our next else if. So if it's not both, let's just check for 3. I mod 3 equals 0. If that is true, let us log fizz. Let's do our next else if. Let's check for 5. So if that's true, let's go ahead and log our buzz. Cool. And if it's not Fizzbuzz, fizz, or buzz, chat, what should we do? If it's not Fizzbuzz, fizz, or buzz, what should we do? Last avatar, that's funny. Yeah, we're just going to print I to the console. All right, so what are we doing here? We combined a lot of stuff here. We combined all of the basics here, right? We have a lovely function. We have a for loop. We have a conditional. We have some modulus logic. And we have printing to the console. This is why this is such a big kind of like interview question, right? This is why this is such a big interview question, because people will go ahead and it tests a lot. It tests the function, it tests the loop, it tests the conditionals. And so that's all really important. All right. You could do a while with this, but you're going to have to set some things up inside of it. Yeah, this was a little bit of a fast one. This is a fast one. So let's slow down a little bit. Let's answer some questions here. Let's make sure folks kind of understand this. So we have a function like normal. We have our loop, which is going from 1 to the number that the user enters in. So let's say that the user enters in 15, right? Let's say the user enters in the number 15. So let's go ahead. The user enters in the number 15. Whoop. Wherever I see num, right? Wherever I see num, it is now 15. What I am doing here is I am saying, all right, let's make this loop run from 1 to 15, right? Let's make this loop run from 1 to 15, all right? 1 to 15. So this loop should run 15 times. Now, what I'm going to check is every single time that this runs, I'm going to check to see if that number is divisible by 3, and if it's divisible by 5. The modulus gives us a remainder. So if I take any number and I do it mod by that other number, what I wind up with is the remainder. So if I did 10 mod 3, I'd wind up with 1 as a remainder because 3 would go into 10 3 times, and then we'd have 1 left over. So I know that 10 is not divisible by 3. And since 10 is not divisible by 3, I know that it's not, since 10 is not divisible by 3, I get that remainder, and I know that it's not divisible, right? So that's where the modulus is helpful. That modulus really lets us know whether or not the number can go into that number an even amount of times. Okay. How do we know when to start the loop, 1 or 0? The reason why we know to start this loop at 1 is because I asked you to. That's why. So like in the problem, I've asked you to start at 1. A lot of times developers start counting at 0. So if the problem doesn't explicitly ask you to start with 1, you're probably going to start with 0. It's a good question. Cool. So we are checking the number, and we're going to see if the number is divisible by 3 and also divisible by 5. If the number is divisible by 3 and 5, we don't want to print that number to the console. We want to print Fizzbuzz to the console. All right. Now, if it's not divisible by 3 and 5, we're going to go on to our next check. We're going to check to see if it's just divisible by 3. If it is divisible by just 3, we're going to print fizz instead of that number, right? And then move on to the next number. But let's say it wasn't divisible by both. It wasn't divisible by 3. We're going to check to see if it's divisible by 5, right? We're going to see if it's divisible by 5. If it's divisible by 5, we're going to print buzz instead of that number, right? And then let's say none of these were true. Let's say it wasn't divisible by 3 and 5, wasn't divisible by 3, wasn't divisible by 5. We're just going to print that number to the console, right? That's the only options we have. So let's say we passed in the number 15. Here's what's going to be printed to the console. I is going to start off at 1, right? Since 1 is not divisible by 3 and 5, 3 or 5, we get 1. Since 2 is not divisible by 3, 5, 3, or 5, we get 2. Now, here's the first tricky one. If I is 3, the first part of this is true because 3 divided by 3 does give us 0, right? But when we get to the other side, 3 is not divisible by 5, so we go to our next check. Our next check is 3 divided by 3. Yes. Can 3 go into 3? Yes. So we get fizz. There we go. We get fizz. All right, we get fizz. Then we're going to move on to our next number, 4. 4 is not divisible by 3, 5, 3, or 5, so we get 4. And then we hit 5. Same thing kind of happened up here. It's not divisible by 3, but it is divisible by 5, so that fails the first one. Not divisible by 3, so it fails that. But it is divisible by 5, so we get buzz. And then we keep going. 6. 6 divisible by 3, we get fizz. 7, 8, fizz. Buzz for 10, because 10 is divisible by 5. 11, fizz for 12. 13, 14, and then finally at 15 we get fizz buzz. There we go. Right? Because finally this first condition is true. It's divided by 3 and it's divisible by 5, so we get fizz buzz. Cool. Yeah, so I really wanted to go through that again just because it's important. It comes up a lot in interviews. It's one of those like gold standard interview questions that just comes up so much. And so I wanted to make sure we went through it. This is a tricky one. If you're struggling with this one a little bit, definitely come back, rewatch the VOD. It'll be up on YouTube as well. You can work through it again. Proud nuns today. I don't know. There's no proud nuns today. Yeah. Cool. I feel like this is one where I just need to repeat the code over and over again. Yeah, this is one of those. You definitely want to come back. you want to really kind of come back and the tricky thing is like these modulus. Like once that kind of clicks a little bit and you work through 1 through 15, work through 1 through 15. Take my solution and work through 1 through 15 on your own. All right. If it was 1, what would it do? And then you can rewatch back this segment and see if what you said matches what I said. And I think that'll be a good place to be. Yeah. What would happen if you had only statements and no else if? It would just evaluate each of the statements and it should still kind of work. Yeah, it should still work. It took me 2 hours to figure it out, but it's so rewarding when you get it. Absolutely. This is one of your first like serious, like you kind of got to learn it, right? This is one of those things like if you're struggling with this one, it's okay. There's a reason why it's an interview problem, right? There's a reason why this is an interview problem. There's a reason why I've seen this trip up folks in interviews because there's some tricky things here. You gotta know you gotta know the big four. You have to know the big four for this to make sense. And it's the first time you've really seen all of them pieces come together. So it's tricky, right? So really come back to it, spend some time with it, work through 1 through 15 and play with it and it'll make some sense. If you're still having some trouble with it, come to office hours. I'm happy to review this during office hours. I think this would be a good thing to go back over again. Yeah, spaced repetition on this one, key. How did we determine to stop at 15 and not 30, for example? Tandy, with this one, it depends on what the user passes in for num. So I can call this function. I don't know why I'm writing this and not typing it. And then pass in any number I want, right? So in this case, I've called the function and I typed in 100. I drew in 100. And so now num is 100. My loop will now run from 1 to 100, and that's what's kind of telling it to stop. Someone taught me to read your code out loud. It helps. I think that's a great idea. Reading code out loud is really helpful. We know that active recall requires you to read out loud, right? And so I think that there's something worthwhile to reading your code out loud. I do not code in silence. I do not code with my mouth closed. I code talking to my duck. Every day, I talk to my duck. When stuff goes really bad, I talk to Bob. So, you talking through your code out loud can be really helpful. They call me Mr. Mumbles at my house. All right, let's keep going, folks. Let's keep pushing. I know this one's a tough one. Come back to it, review it on your own, and then we can go back over it again during office hours on Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Twitch. Because tonight, folks, we're talking about arrays. All right. So, what are arrays? I want you to think about arrays as a toaster. Would you like arrays? I would like for you arrays. Yes, please. Arrays. All right. I want you to think about arrays as a toaster. Right? A toaster. So visualize a toaster. A toaster, if you go to like, I don't know, my house, I got like a normal toaster. Right? It's not a bad toaster, but it's a normal toaster. It's got 4 slots, right? The cool thing about my toaster is it's big enough for bagels, right? It's one thing, but it can hold 4 different things inside of it, right? So my toaster can hold a piece of bread. It can hold a bagel. It can hold a toaster strudel, and it can hold a Pop-Tart. Right? So it's still one toaster, but there are now 4 different things, 4 different types of things inside of it. So it's one toaster that's holding 4 different things, 4 different types of things. Now, I have a good toaster. It's not a bad toaster. I'm not trying to trash my toaster here. I like my toaster. It's a good toaster. But if we went to 50 Cent's house, you know 50 has a massive toaster. I'm talking like a 12 to 30, like 12 to 30 slot toaster. And his toaster does it all, right? It does bagels. It does the toaster strudel. It does things like like the fancy ones, like if you're from the UK, like cheese toasties, like on the side, right? It does. 50 has, you know what? 50 probably has a 50 slot toaster, right? It's not 20, it's not 30, it's 50 slots. And his toaster takes in all the good stuff. Anything you could think of that you might want to toast, 50's toaster does it. He has some slots that are vertical. He has some slots that are horizontal. There's 50 slots. Brian said 50 is trash, though. 50's new music is fire. I don't care what you got to say. What was the new song that just came out not too long ago? I was like, damn, he still got it. I remember the song during break, and I'll put it in there. There's this one new song that was dope. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty good. But anyway, back to toasters. 50 has a 50 slot toaster. It has all the bells and whistles, anything you can think of. It takes in all these different types of food, but it's still one toaster. 50 slots, but one toaster. Now, I have a decent toaster. 50's flexing with his 50 slot toaster. We go to Bill Gates' house. Right? We go to Bill Gates' house. You go to Bill Gates' kitchen. And on Bill Gates' countertop is a toaster. And I start to feel better about myself because his toaster looks like my toaster. And nobody's around. Nobody's watching me. I'm in Bill Gates' house for some reason. And so I try, I'm like, this looks like too normal of a toaster. So I have to try it. I mean, there's so many things I could be doing in Bill Gates' house. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try his toaster. And so what I'm going to do is I go into his freezer first and I find it's not toaster strudel. Like the really fancy, you got to go into like the organic freezer section, like the really fancy toaster strudels in that Dutch name that I don't know how to pronounce. That's what Bill Gates got in his freezer, sorry. So I'm going to take these really fancy toaster strudels and I take them over to Bill Gates' unassuming toaster. And I put one toaster strudel in the first slot, one in the second slot, one in the third slot, and then I put the last one in the fourth slot, and I think I'm ready to start making these really fancy toaster strudel. But before my eyes, another slot appears. Let that sink in. I'm in Bill Gates' house. I'm in his kitchen. I'm cooking his fancy toaster strudel. And I got to the end of the slots, and a new one appeared. And now I'm losing it. I'm like, all right, well, time to get every toaster strudel that he has in his freezer. And I start putting him in the slots. And the more I put in, the more the toaster grows. The toaster's just growing and growing, more and more slots. I've run out of toaster strudel at this point. I'm grabbing whatever I can. I'm throwing Pop-Tarts in there. I'm throwing bread in there. He has these fancy French bagels that he had flown in this morning. I'm throwing them there. And no matter what I put inside of this toaster, it keeps growing another slot. And I step back and I look and I see one ginormous toaster. It's one thing, but it has so many different types of food inside of it. Okay? That's what an array is. An array is a data structure, a way of organizing things in JavaScript that is a collection of stuff. Okay? So it's one thing that can hold a bunch of other stuff. Okay? It's one thing that can hold a bunch of other stuff. And just like Bill Gates' toaster, it can always take in new items. It can always have new things that it takes inside of it. Now, arrays are tricky because there's some gotchas, some things you have to remember. One of the gotchas is that the things inside of the toaster are called elements. So our Pop-Tarts, our toaster strudel, our bagels, our bread, we would say that they are all elements. They are elements inside of my toaster. They are elements inside of my array. Okay? So the things that go into the array we call elements. The things that are inside the array, we don't start counting them at one. Like we don't look at the first slot in the toaster and say, that is the first slot. When we're looking at Bill Gates' toaster, we say the first slot is the 0th slot. We start counting at 0 with our toaster. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Like if you go into your kitchen, maybe you have a 4-slot toaster, you would say 0, 1, 2, 3 slots. You have a 2-slot toaster, you look at your toaster and say 0, 1. Man, so thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. All right. So where arrays get tricky is that they're just one thing. Just like our toaster is one thing, but they can hold many different types of stuff. We call those different stuff, those bagels, those breads, those toaster strudels, we call those elements. And the slots on the toaster, the slots in the array, we start counting them at 0. So those are some of the gotchas. We're going to go over this a little bit more, but those are the gotchas. Okay. We can create these toasters or these arrays in 2 different ways. We can use something called a constructor, which we're going to learn a little bit more about on Thursday. Or we can use something called literal notation, where we literally create an array. Okay. So this is me setting it up. We're going to go through each of these step by step. Okay. What made the first slot 0 and not 1? A long time ago, back when we were dealing with binary, back when we were dealing with very simple languages, someone made the decision to start counting at 0 and not 1. Now, there's some math behind this. There's some computer science theory behind this, but it's really because other languages have started at 0 that we start at 0. That's all. Some long time ago made that decision. There's some real reasons behind it. When we get into CS theory a little bit more, we'll talk about it. But it's really kind of a relic of a long gone error while we start with 0. Okay. Right. All right. If we're going to create these toasters, there's 2 ways to create the toasters. The first way is with this constructor, which we really haven't learned too much about yet. And the way that we're really going to use for the rest of the class and for when we first kind of really start using arrays, this is called literal notation. You are literally creating an array. Okay. So all you have to do is have an open and close square bracket. When you do that, you have created an array. Right? It's literally the notation for an array. So if you ever want to create an array, all you have to do is use those brackets and you're off to the races. Now, when you create this array, you can put many different things in it. Just like we saw the toaster could have all this different stuff in it, our array can have a bunch of different stuff in it. We're seeing that this array right now has a string, a Boolean, and a number in it. The type of data inside of an array doesn't matter. You can put strings, Booleans, numbers, objects, other arrays inside of your arrays. Right? Array is like Bill Gates' toaster. It can grow to fit any amount of information you need in it, and it can be all different types of stuff. Okay. Now, what we call these things that go inside of the array are elements. So this string zebra is an element. This Boolean of true is an element. And this number of 21 is an element inside of the array. Okay. If you leave an empty space in an array, empty spaces leave an empty element in that array. So if you leave an empty space, that creates an extra space in Bill Gates' toaster with nothing inside of it. Everybody loves a raven. Can it be value selected from the DOM? We can get the stuff out of the array. Yeah, like if we have like a click event and then we grab it. I'm not sure if that's what you're thinking through there, Will. But yeah, we can get it. We can ask for it later on. Pie. And that's how Leon burned down Bill Gates' house. Jeez. All right. So we have an empty space. Remember that. We can have empty spaces. They take up slots in the array. All right. Here is an array. Let's say we have an array of locations. We have New York City, Los Angeles, Sydney, and London. Do we have anybody from New York City in chat? Anybody here from New York? Curious. Anyone from New York? Ew, you're... All right, so we got New York in the house. LA? Anyone from LA? Well, we got a lot of people from New York. Jeez Louise. LA? All right, we got some folks from LA too. Nice. You're... Thanks for the hydration. Cheers to you. Sydney? Anybody from Sydney? Oh, we do have one from Sydney. We got some folks from Sydney. Sydney are close enough. I'll take it. All right. All right, got some Sydney. And how about London? Anybody from London here? Anybody from London? It's London the last Londonish. All right, I'll take it. Londonish, I'll take it. All right. So we got the full spectrum here. We got the full representation here. I'll take it. Nice. All right. So here is an array of locations. These strings, if this is an array, what could I call these strings? These strings are called what, chat? These strings are called what? What would we call these strings in terms of them being in an array? Yes, yes, yes. Each of these strings would be elements. New York, LA, Sydney, London are all elements in my array. Now, the other tricky thing about our array is we start counting them at 0. And we call these numbers the index. So, the index of New York is 0. The index of LA is 1. The index of Sydney is 2. And the index of London is 3. Now, the reason why this index is important is because it enables us to grab elements out of the array based on its index. Okay? Enables us to grab values out of the array based on its index. So, if I asked you to give me the location at the second index, what location would you give me? I want the location at the second index. What would you give me? Oh, we got some confusion in here. It would be Sydney. It would be SYD. Because the second index is here. So the second index is Sydney. If I asked you to give me the element at the third index, what would you give me? As for the element at the third index, you would give me... Yeah, you give me London. London is in the third index. London is in the third index. Now, this is a tricky one. Here's a tricky question. Excuse me. This is a tricky question. If I asked you for the first element, what would you give me? The first element, what would you give me? Oh shit, you guys got it. I was getting ready for it to be like a bloodbath in here. No, you all got it. It's New York, right? Because I didn't talk about the index. I said give me the element. I said the first element. The first element has nothing to do with the index. If I'm talking about index, I'm talking about the index. If I'm talking about elements, I'm talking about elements. That's why this gets so freaking confusing, because if I'm asking you for elements, I'm ignoring the index. If I'm asking you for index, then the numbering's off by 1. Okay? So, if I asked you for the element at the 0th index, what would you give me? If I asked you for the element at the 0th index, what would you give me? Cool. If I asked you for the element at the 4th index, what would you give me? Element at the 4th index. Oh. Undefined. There's no 4th index, right? There's no 4th index, so we would get undefined. 0, 1, 2, 3. 4th index, undefined. So when you're dealing with an array and you try to ask for an index that doesn't exist, you get undefined. Oh, thinking that it would loop back. That's actually really interesting. That's a good way to think about it. But yeah, no, it will give us undefined. That'd be interesting if it did loop back though. Yeah, undefined. Cool. Let's keep pushing. We're getting close to the top of the hour. We're going to take a break a little bit. I know this can be burning the brain cells a little bit. This one, I know this is where it gets a little tricky, gets a little hard. So we're going to work through it. But we're going to take a break soon. Okay. All right. Here we go. We have an array called new array, and inside new array we have some interesting things. We have string zebra as an element. We have an empty space as an element. We have Boolean true as an element, and we have number 21 as an element. So what I can do to access an element out of the array, right? If I want an element out of the array, I can use the array name followed by square brackets with the index inside. Okay? Right? So here, when I say new array 0, what it's going to give me is the element inside that array at the 0th index, which is zebra. Right? When I say new array 1, it's going to give me the element that's at the 1st index. So this is 0. This is 1. Since it's empty, that returns undefined. We get undefined because it's empty. Okay. Then we're going to do new array 2, asking for the 2nd index, and that's going to give us the Boolean of true, because 0, 1, 2, right? And then if we ask for the 3rd index, it would give us the number 21, because 0, 1, 2, 3, 3rd index. Okay. All right. So the way we would talk about this, we would say that elements can be accessed by their index numbers. We can pull this stuff out of the array using the index number inside of those square brackets. Okay. Now, just like we can get stuff out, by its index, we can put stuff in by its index. So what I am doing here is I am saying new array square brackets 1 now equals Bob, right? So what I am doing is I am putting Bob into this undefined space in the array, right? Luck Monkey, thank you for the 5 months. Ooh, 5 months. Damn. All right. Thank you for being here. All right. Now, to do this, the space doesn't have to be empty. You can override any element in the array by using its index and setting it equal to something else. It's the same thing as like reassigning a variable. It just so happens to be inside your toaster. All right. So if we did this, if we did new array 1 and we set it equal to Bob, then what we're going to see if we console log this array is now we have zebra, Bob, true, and 21. Okay. So we can both get stuff out of the array and we can put stuff into the array using the same notation. And yeah, if we wanted to create Bill Gates toaster, all we would have to do is new array 4 equals Billy Gates. Right? And now we would have another element inside of our array. Cool. And yes, Mehdi, that is like the push method. We'll get there. Cool. Now, a little more tricky factor before we take a break. If you have an array and you set it equal to something else, even say another array, you can override the whole array by assigning an array to a different array. What? So here I have an array called cars. And cars is equal to an array holding 4 different strings: Honda, Toyota, Ford, Tesla. And then I have array nums that's holding 3 different numbers, 1, 2, 3. If I reassign cars to be nums, when I actually go to console log cars, well, guess what? Honda, Toyota, Ford, Tesla can no longer be found. We're at 1, 2, 3. So it's just reassignment. Just like you could reassign any other variable, you can reassign whole arrays. So yes, you can overwrite whole arrays by assigning an array to an array. Yes. So like I said, this is where some of the trickiness comes into with arrays. There's some weird stuff going on here, folks, right? There's some weird stuff going on. We have the ability to put stuff into an array, to take stuff out of the array, and we have the ability to overwrite an entire array. Just like we could do this. Ready? It's not anything different than what we've seen. It's just tricky because we're dealing with the mind-boggleness that is arrays. If we did this, let's say we did let num equal 5, right? And then on the next line, I did num equal 6. You all wouldn't like it wouldn't be something odd, right? It's like, oh, Leon declared a variable called num and he assigned it the number 5. And then on the next line, he reassigned it to be 6. So num is now no longer 5. It is now 6. We're doing the exact same thing, just with arrays. Magic Marco said, I said, right now this makes so much sense, but I know the first homework we get, I'll be so lost. That's okay. Arrays are tricky. Like I said, we're ramping up a little bit. We're going to start getting more tricky stuff. I promise you, we're going to go over everything in detail, and we're going to definitely spend more time on this during office hours. Office hours is going to be a lot more review going forward, a lot more spending times with the things that are tripping you up. Yeah, we're still going to have some segment for questions, but we're going to do less questions, more code review, more getting through the sticky stuff. So if this is something that's really sticky for you, for something that feels a little murky, it's not clicking yet, definitely make sure you're at office hours. On Saturday, we'll be going all over this all over again. Cool. One more thing, and then we're going to take a break. The cool thing about arrays is that you can figure out how many things are in Bill Gates' toaster just by asking for the length. So if I take my array and I ask for the length of the array, I get 4 back. So at any point in time, you can do Bill Gates toaster.length, and you would get the total number of elements or toaster strudels inside of that array. Same thing with any other arrays here. You use this length property, and it'll tell you how many things are inside of it. Can you replace an array infinitely? Like reassign? Yeah, you can reassign till kingdom come. You can add for as long as you want until you run into some memory complications with JavaScript. But yeah. All right. Slide into Bill Gates DMs to ask about his toaster length. Alrighty, folks. We are a little bit over the top of the hour, so let's go ahead and put 5 minutes on the clock here. 5 minutes on the clock, please. If you're able, get up, stretch, hydrate, take care of yourself. Let's put some tunes on. If anybody's got some fun questions, I'll answer fun questions. Don't worry, I'm not going to answer anything about a raise while you're gone. Go ahead, please take the time you need. Stretch, kiss your loved ones. We'll be back here in 4 minutes. Gonna make some ramen, I'm jealous. Been wanting to do this for a while. I have to save up the points. What are you saving up the points for? Oh, mock interview. Yes. Let's go. Indifferent, send me a DM on Discord, please. We'll make it happen. Dragonoid, thank you for the hydration. Ordering some food. What are you ordering, pork? Luck Monkey, put a message in the Ask Leon channel in Discord, and I'll send you my 2 favorite React tutorials. Yeah, go ahead and put that just in that way I see it after stream, and I'll give you my 2 favorite places to start with React that are completely free. Choo Choo, yeah, you can. Is it Chocho or Choo Choo? Chocho, I guess it'd be Chocho, right? 1-0. Yeah, you can redeem it whenever you want. Just when you do redeem it, just send me a DM what you want. Kenny's saving up the points. All right. Oh, pork, get out of here. Kat, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. He inspired me to drink more water, so I'm drinking more water. Ooh, I didn't know the new Sonys did 2 devices. That's pretty cool with the M4s. Ooh. Chocho with the mock interview redemption. People splashing out tonight. I watched the React presentation where the guy built a poor man's React in 30 minutes. That's dope. If you remember what that is, share that in Discord. That'd be cool to see that. Cat. That's really cool. That is cool. You're in House Hopper, but somehow I can't access it. Make sure so send me a message on Discord. Send me a DM on Discord and we'll figure it out. Yeah, send me a DM on Discord, we'll figure it out. Hey Leon, I feel like I learn a lot through courses, but struggle with being able to think on my own sometimes from scratch. How to get over that hurdle? By building something you care about. By finding something you care about building and then having to learn how to build it, it gives you some direction. You're not just imagining things. You're like, I want to do X. And that gives you the place to build and to learn and to Google and get stuck and get help and then build. And so by building something that you want to build and you're going to put time into is the best way to get over that hurdle. Because you have a little bit of direction, you know what you want, but it's then doing it. So that's what I recommend. That's a very common thing that new developers face, and the best advice I've ever gotten is learn the basics and then build your ass off. And so find something you're excited to build and build it. When you get stuck, ask for help. Google, figure out how to get unstuck. I really don't know what the heck I care to build though. Yeah, that could be the hard part too, sabotage. Also, Sean, Phenomenon. The other thing too is that we're going to start doing a lot of coding challenges, and those coding challenges force you to practice the basics over and over and over again, to where you start to recognize the pieces of the puzzle, and it makes it a little bit easier as you kind of go on. So make sure you're doing the daily challenges, because that'll help in the long run as well. Alrighty, folks, come on back. Come on back. We got some fun stuff to get into. We're going to jump right into a coding challenge. So let's come on back. Let's go ahead and do this together. Come on back. All right. I'm just going to leave the music out because we're jumping right into the coding challenge here. I think some people listen for the music to cut off, so I'm going to cut that off, and then hopefully some folks come back. All right, so we're going to move right into a coding challenge, right? And so we're on ArrayDat in it to win it. These challenges are going to be a little tough tonight. If you're not able to get through all these challenges, that is totally okay. Some of them are going to be tough. So give it your best, be in it to win it. And you got some questions here. So you got some array questions here. Go ahead and try working on those. I'm going to put 4 minutes on the clock here. Have at it. Take 4 minutes, see if you can answer these questions, and we're going to go over them together. If you finish, go ahead and put done in the chat for us. I want to see if you got it done. Welcome to some of the new folks. Leo Goody, Plus Laron, iMan, Not So Smart Contract, Steel Forge, Big Z518, Pixie, Small Av. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hope you're learning some stuff. 100, do exclamation point 100 devs in chat if you're interested in joining our free bootcamp. Contreras 11, how do I access the code that we're doing? So if you go to our Discord, exclamation point Discord, you agree to the rules, and then you're going to see a follow along materials channel that's going to have all the starter code that we're using right here. So go ahead, join Discord, agree to the rules, and you get access to the starter code that we're all working through. Ooh, look at all these dones. Telefang, done. Lil Wayne, Tuchini, Dunzo. Might have done it during break. So Keto 12 done, Wolfpack done, Dragonoid done, Cross is done. I love it. Does this class count towards 100 days of code? Sure, why not? You're doing code, right? Every day, that's the goal. Guess so. Steonix, yay. Trying. I hope I said your name right. Astoinex. Yeah, glad you're here. Ooh, look at all these people coming in done. Oh, I never started the clock. I'm like, these people are finishing so quickly. It hasn't even been a second yet. Let's put 2 minutes on the clock. Sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot to start it. Reptar, thank you for reminding me. Is this good for computer specs? A ThinkPad T440 with an i7, 12 gigabytes, I'm assuming RAM, and 512 SSD. That's good, but it depends on the price, Missy. That sounded so sassy. Their name is Missy. Depends on the price, the art of Missy. What you're gonna get for that, how much you're gonna pay for it. I used a T410 professionally for about a year or so. $279's not bad. I would haggle a little bit if you could, but it's not bad. Nurkler, CSGO stream when? So the thing about like the fun streams is that we still have to be able to hit like the max number of folks on like that are here, because we're trying to make partner. And so we can't dip below, I think it's like 70. So if everybody agreed to like watch like a fun stream, we could do one. And so I would like to find something that everyone be into, and then I'm down to totally do it. I think Among Us with the community would be fun. We'd have to find a way for everyone to be able to play for free. Like a game that everyone could play for free, I'd be down. I'm also down to do like a tournament day. Like if we wanted to do like a checkers tournament or something like that, I think that'd be fun to get everyone playing together and do like a tournament bracket or something like that for merch maybe. Y'all, you're gonna want to just find something off the shelf that would do ordering, like plugging in like Uber Eats or something like that. Chess tournament could be fun. Is Among Us free on mobile? Is it? Yash? You don't want this smoke, Topher. You don't want this smoke. Alrighty, folks, come on back. We got a lot of folks that finish this one up. Come on back, folks. Pokemon Battle Topher, I'll be down. I think that I forgot. I said I was gonna add that as a channel point reward one day, like end stream do Pokemon Battle. I gotta add a lot of these. I'm gonna put them on there later today. All right, folks, come on back. Let's go over these together. All right, create an array of movies with at least 3 movies. All right, so let's go ahead and create an array. Let best movies equal, and then we are going to use, of course, one of the best running movie series of all time. Of course, Bring It On. So we're gonna skip the Bring It On to Bring It On again. Let's go ahead and jump right into the heavy hitters here. Bring It On. All or Nothing. Let's bring in the next heavy hitter. In It to Win It. And then, of course, we're going to finish up. Should we do Fight to the Finish or Worldwide Cheer Smack? Worldwide Cheer Smack was okay, but I think we'll do Fight to the Finish. Fight to the Finish. Cool. Cool. So there we go. We have an array of movies with at least 3 movies. People are saying like Independence Day, Lord of the Rings, Drumline, like Goodfellas, the Bass Reservoir Dog. Got you. All right. Using the array from above, store the first movie in a variable. So we're going to say let first movie equal. And then chat, how could I get the first movie out of this array? What did you use to get the first movie out of this array? Yeah, we're going to definitely use that 0 index. Kent Izzle, Golden Gun. Yeah. Golden. Yeah, there we go. We're going to use that 0. So we're going to say best movies. And we're going to use that 0 in the square bracket. That's going to grab the first value for us using that bracket notation. Nice. Get the length of the original array and store it in a new variable. So let's call this let movie. Let's call it num of movies. And we're going to set it equal to best movies dot length. Remember that length property will give us the number of elements in our array. Chat, right now, if I was to do this, if I was to log num of movies, what would I get? Chat, what would I get if I console logged num of movies? Nice. Yeah, I would get 3 because there are 1, 2, 3 different movies in my array. Cool. Let's do this last one. Get the last element in that array and store it in a new variable. All right. What if your array was really large and you didn't know the last index? Would your solution still work? Cool. So let's think about the easy way to do this. If we wanted to get the last movie, so let's say let last movie equal. I could hard code this. I could say best movies, and what index could I use here? What if I really wanted to hard code this? What could I do? If I wanted to hard code this, I could do 2, right? Right now, if I did 2, that would grab fight to the finish, and it would work. It would work. It would give me the last one. But the problem here is that what if I added more movies to the array? What if we're at Bill Gates' house and we're going wild? Bill Gates has a DVD player. No. Bill Gates has a DVD player, not even a Blu-ray player, just a DVD player that you can put in like a bazillion DVDs and they all play at the same time, right? Like, what if I kept adding stuff to my toaster? What if I kept adding movies to this array? This would be hard-coded and wouldn't work, right? It wouldn't work. So what we want to do is we want to figure out a way to put something inside of these brackets that would work for any number of elements in the array and still give us the last one. And I see folks in chat going wild with this answer, so we're gonna use it. We could do num of movies minus 1. We could do num of movies minus 1. Man, so the pop. All right. Why the heck does this work? Let's think about it. Let's think about it. We already said that num of movies equals what right now? Num of movies equals what? It equals 3. Num of movies equals 3 because dot length give us the total number of elements in the array. So there is 3 elements inside of this array. But since we always want the last element, right now, the last element is always going to be open. I'm sorry, the last element is always going to be off by what? The last element is always going to be off by 1 if we're trying to use the index. If we're trying to use the index, the last element is always going to be off by 1. Exactly. Because we started counting at what? We started counting at 0. So this is the 0th index. This is the first index. And this is the second index. So if length gives us 3 movies in the array and num of movies equals 3, we always have to subtract 1 because we're going to use this as the index of 2 to grab that value. All right? So the idea here is we can use the length to get the total number. But if we want the last element, that total number is always going to be off by 1 because we started counting at 0. So we want to do the length minus 1. Right? The length minus 1. And so if we were to go ahead and do this, we could also just do this. We could do best movies dot length minus 1. Right? We could do best movies dot length minus 1. It's the same thing. Best movies is returning 3. And we're subtracting 1 to give us 2. And if we look, 0, 1, 2, that gives us the last element. If we added another movie to this, if we go ahead and we add, for funsies here, if we go ahead and add Worldwide Cheer Smack. Good movie, just not one of the best of the series, right? If we go ahead and add Worldwide Cheer Smack, this line 13 still works because now best movies dot length is 4 and we're still going to subtract 1, which gives us 3, and we're going to go 0, 1, 2, 3. Gives us that last element in the array. Kenny said, what is this witchcraft? It's JavaScript. Perry said, yeah, man, they should just start counting at one. It would make it a lot easier. Yep. Cool. Questions about this one while we're here. This one's a little odd, little hard, little weird. If your first time dealing with arrays, I know this stuff is tricky. Starting cutting at 0 causes some weird issues that you have to keep track of when you're dealing with this stuff. The idea between elements and index, that's some weird terminology, but we're going to keep getting some practice with it. We're going to keep going. Yeah, there are other methods that we could use here that would make this easier. We're going to see some of them. We're going to see stuff like pop. Next week, we'll see things like slice. There are ways that you can get to this same answer with some slightly different syntax. But this one's important to understand. It's important to understand that length gives you the total number of elements in the array. We start counting our elements if we're using the index at 0, and that can cause some oddities. All right, let's keep pushing. If your brain's melting, that's all right. We're going to definitely go over all of this stuff during our office hours, Saturday, 12 p.m. All right, let's keep pushing. If you're new, we're running a free 30-week coding bootcamp. You're more than welcome to join. ! 100 devs in chat will tell you all the stuff you need to know. All right. Deep breaths. Let's talk about moving through or iterating through our arrays. So we want to be able to, in this instance, I want to be able to print to the console all the colors inside of this array. Green, blue, yellow, and black. Okay. We want to be able to go ahead and print every element that's in our array into the console. So we want whatever is in here, all right? We want it to go into our lovely console, okay? That's what we want to have happen. So right here, I have a list of best colors. One of these colors is my favorite color. Chat. What do you think is my favorite color? No red, sus. What do you think it is, chat? Count the Shell says it's not blue. That could have been a misdirection. I could have been lying. Interesting. Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. One of you are correct. All right, let's keep looking at this. One of you are correct, for sure. All right, let's take a look at this. We have a for loop. It's me. Okay, thanks. We have a for loop. We're starting off our loop counting at 0. Chat, why would we start, if we're going to try and put all these colors into the console, why would we start our loop at 0, chat? What is the importance of starting our loop at 0? Yeah, the first index is going to be 0. So it's important that we start our loop at 0. Great, that's really well done. Cool. So we're going to start our loop at 0. We're going to go until we reach the length of the array. So basically, once we run out of items in the array, we stop. And we're just going to increment by 1. And each time this loop runs, we're going to pull the colors out of the array. So the very first time this runs, best colors 0 would grab green. The next time this runs, best colors 1 would grab blue. The next time this runs, best colors 2 would grab yellow. And then the last time this runs, best colors 3 would grab black. And they would all be printed to the console. Right? So the idea being here is that since we are using I as the index here, we can grab the appropriate element. Different. All right. Let's look at some other ways to iterate. This is kind of one of the first built-in methods that we're going to see. So built into JavaScript are a lot of these functions that make our lives easier. This and this are the same thing. This for each and this for loop are doing the same thing. Okay. What we're doing here is for each is a built-in function to JavaScript. It's built in. It's going to do some lifting for us. What for each does is it's a loop that runs once for each element in your array. Let me say this again. It is a loop that runs once for each element in your array. Okay? So for each, what it's going to do is it's going to run, in this case, 4 times. I didn't have to set an end condition like I have to do with the for loop. For each is a type of loop that's going to run once for each element in your array. Now look, you can see that it's tied to the array best colors here. For each doesn't really exist on its own. It has to be tied to an array. Okay? We're going to learn next class when we get to objects why this is. But right now, for each is tied to the array, and it's going to run once for each element in the array. What this is going to do when it runs is it's going to pop off. It's going to pop off each element. It's going to grab each element from the array for us and throw it into a function. This right here is an arrow function. You should have come across these in your reading. It's a fancy new ES6 way to do functions, right? Basically what you see here are our parameters, and then you don't need anything else for it to kind of just run. It has something called an implicit return. Don't get caught up in that yet. But right now, all it's doing is that this is a function. So basically what's going to happen is that every single time this for each runs, it's going to run this function. It's going to run this function. So, chat, how many times will this function run? Yes. This function is going to run 4 times. Because remember, we said the for each is going to run once for each element in our array. Since we have 4 elements in our array, this function is going to run 4 times. Now, each time for each runs, it's pulling some information out of the array. X right now is holding the element that's coming out of the array. So green, blue, yellow, black. And I is holding the index of that element. So each time for each runs, it's grabbing the element and the index. And we can use both. Right now, my function's only using the element, but if I wanted to, I could also use the index. Okay? And so this is going to run 4 times. Each time it runs, it's going to grab green and 0. Then it'll run it again, grabbing blue and 1. Then it's going to run again and grab yellow and 2. Then it's going to run for the last time, grabbing black and 3. Right? And then it's done. There's no other elements in the array, so it stops. So yeah, same thing, doing the same thing. just slightly different syntax. With arrays, we're going to get a lot of these helpful methods. Methods are just functions right now. We're going to learn where that word comes from next class when we get to objects. But there's a bunch of built-in functions that help us do a lot of fun stuff, that make dealing with arrays a little bit easier, and we don't have to start from zero every single time we want to use an array. Okay. All right, before we look at some of these more fun helper methods, let's do a coding challenge. Like I said, we turned it up a little bit. It's getting a little hot around the collar tonight with these arrays. Stick with me. Stick with me. Let's get through this. Let's look at some of this together. Let's struggle together. We're going to make it make sense, and we're going to spend a lot of time on Saturday reviewing these concepts. So stick with me. Let these ideas marinate a little bit tonight and into Thursday. We're definitely going to review it on Thursday, and then we're going to get more review on Saturday. All right? So stick with me. Let it marinate a little bit. Let this be some of the first times you're seeing this stuff. Let it wash over you, and we'll make it make sense as we continue. All right, so we have a challenge, fight to the finish. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let me save this one so we have it. And we're going to open up fight to the finish. If you're new and you need the starter code, Discord and chat, agree to the rules. And once you agree to the rules, there'll be a follow on materials channel that has all of this material here. So I'm going to go ahead and put 5 minutes on the clock. This is a very hard challenge. This is a very hard challenge. I don't expect folks to be able to finish this. If you do, kudos to you. This is a hard challenge. So don't feel some type of way if it doesn't click right now. This is a hard challenge, but I want you to try it. I want you to think through it. Even if you can't do it, give it a good think. What is the question asking you? What would you want it to do if you could figure out how to do it? Okay. Fountain said, yeah, totally. I'm starting to see how we have not yet hit the bottom of the trough of sorrow. This is the tricky. I'm telling you, we turn it up a little bit. It's going to get a little bit more tricky, but we're going to make sure that we have more time to go over. So we're going to have office hours on Saturday, and we're adding more office hours. So next week, we're adding 2 more days of office hours. So as things get a little bit more spicy, we're going to get more help as well. Sheenan's here for the challenge. Hell yeah. All right. Got 4 minutes. Dig deep. I'm going to put some music on here. Yep, it's up to you how many movies. I think 3 is a good one here. And I meant to say add 3 to each number. Add 3 to each number. What do I mean by question number 3? I meant number 2. Oh, there we go. Find the average of all the numbers from question 2. Sorry about that last one. What? It's Keto with the Dunzo. Wow, that's wild. Well done. Create an array of movie titles, loop through the array, and add each element to the H2. Add each element. Sorry, I forgot the word add. I don't know why it's missing in both of these. I might have like control deleted or something. Knox. Fountain, I definitely really recommend the break reading. Did you get a chance to get through the break reading? The JS Way and javascript.info are the 2 best places, I think, to kind of review these concepts. Yeah. If you want some more practice, Free Code Camp can be helpful to get some hands-on practice. But it really is kind of doing these practice problems and revisiting these practice problems, really kind of dissecting them, figuring out kind of what's going on. Yeah. If you look, there's an H2 here. That's what we're trying to target in the DOM. The JS way is good after Eloquent. JS is giving you a panic attack. Yeah, I could see that. JS, the Eloquent, it's hard. It's a hard book. Law with the done. Unpopular opinion, I like Eloquent. Dragonoid, I love Eloquent. I think it's like, it's one of my favorite books. There's my two favorite programming books of all time. Just are the books that made it really make sense to me. Was the original Eloquent JavaScript and Practical JavaScript by Zelk. Yeah, those two were my favorites. The Practical JavaScript is kind of out of date now, but it was like the first like meaty book that like helped JavaScript make sense. Ooh. Yeah, it's a stressful book. It's but it's good at getting you to do the reading. It's good at getting you to struggle through that like technical dipping of your toes. That's what it's good for. It gets you into that flow. And so that's why I like people to grapple Eloquent early, because I feel like it forces you to start realizing like what reading code and documentation could look like. It forces you to deal with it a little bit. And so that complemented with like the JS way to give you some relief from it is kind of getting you used to some of the stuff you're going to have to start reading. That's going to be a little bit harder. Different. All right, folks, come on back. Let's look at these hard ones together. And then after this, we are, let's see, what do we got? We got a little bit more left, but I think we'll stop here once we go over these. Okay, we got some. There's one of my favorite things I put together is this Dylon thing that comes up next, but we're gonna go ahead and do this together. Let's go ahead and take a look at this together. All right, create an array of movie titles. Let me go ahead and kill the music here. Create an array of movie titles, loop through the array, and add each element to the H2. All right, create an array of movie titles, loop through the array, and add each element to the H2. So let's go to create an array of movies. It's called movie titles. I swear, after I turn that music off, I still hear the music. Like, I still feel like I hear it after it gets turned off. All right, maybe that's just me. All right, so movie titles. Let's go ahead and put our movie titles back in here. Let's just go ahead and do, just to keep it tight, fight, win, and worldwide, Mr. Worldwide. All right, so we have our movie titles. We want to loop through the array and add each element to the H2. We know that the movie titles array now has this lovely for each method built in. And look, Adam even tried to help me there. Look at how Adam helped me here. Adam filled this all in for me just by hitting tab, which is pretty interesting. So I didn't even have to type that out. Adam just did it for me. And what I want to do is I want to add each of these titles to the H2. So I'm going to do document.querySelector, selector, and I'm going to select the H2. And then I'm going to say inner text, and we're going to say plus equals item. There we go. So what that should do is we should now be looping through. Chris, my kid is over here telling me to let you know she hears the music in her head too. See, I'm not alone. All right, thank you. I feel better. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop through For each is going to run in this case. How many times will this run? How many times will this run? How many times will this for each run, chat? Yeah, it's going to run 3 times because there are 3 movies inside of this array. So this for each should run 3 times. Each time it's going to pop off item and the index. So it's going to pop off fight and 0, win and 1, worldwide and 2. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to, inside of each of these runs, we're going to have selecting the H2, and we're going to select that H2 and change the text inside of it to each of those items. So it'll be fight, it'll be win, it'll be worldwide, right? And so let's go ahead and save this. Let's go ahead and open this in the browser. And there we go. We got fight, win, and worldwide into that H2. It ran 3 times, right? Can I do it using for? Yeah, let's do it using the for. Let's do it both ways. Let me comment this out. And let's go ahead and do a for loop. So let's go ahead and do our for loop. Let's set it up. Let's go ahead and do let I equal 0. And then we're going to do while I is less than movie titles dot length, because that'll give us 3. So we're going to do 0, 1, 2. And then each time we're going to add 1 to I. Cool. I like that. And then all we're going to do is kind of that same line. So I'm just going to copy it, although I recommend never copying just for sake of time on stream. There we go. Same thing should happen. So let's go ahead, save this. And then let's go ahead, go back to our browser, refresh, and it didn't work. Let's go ahead and make sure I didn't do it right. Oh, I forgot that since we're no longer using item, we have to do movie titles and then square brackets I, right? Because we're not using the item of the for each. We need the movie titles, which is our array, and I, which is the index that we're grabbing as we kind of move through from 0 to the title dot length. Cool. Let's save this. Let's make sure it works. There we go. Fight, win, worldwide. Dope. We're there. Create an array of numbers. Loop through. You got it right, Jen? That's awesome. Woo. Create an array of numbers. Loop through the array and add 3 to each number. Replace the old number. So this is where it gets a little trickier, right? We get a little bit more difficult. It's all right. We're gonna push through it. We're gonna try doing it together, and then we're gonna give our brains a much needed break, and we'll end once we get through these 2. So stick with me through these last 2. We'll end with a raid, and then after that raid, you can give your brain a little bit of a rest, unless you haven't done the daily challenge, because you got to do the daily challenge. So if you haven't done the daily challenge, you're going to do that after class. All right. Let's go ahead and keep pushing here. Create an array of numbers, loop through the array, and add 3 to each number, and replace the old number. All right. So, create an array of numbers, let nums, right? Array of numbers, let nums. Oh no, people create an infinite loop. Let's equal nums equal, and we're just going to do 1, 2, and 3. So now we have an array of numbers, 1, 2, and 3. We want to loop through that array and add 3 to each number. Replace the old number. All right. So we can do it both ways. We can do the for each, or we can do the for loop. Let's do the for each for right now, just so we can see both. Let's do num dot for each. And what we're going to do is we are going to add 3 to each number and replace the old number. So let's go ahead and do nums I equals item plus 3. What? What? All right. What? Hold on. What? Oh, there we go. Thank you for catching that. What? Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let's console log this to see what happens. Let's console log this. Hold on. Let's see what happens here. Let's go back to our browser. Let's open up the inspect. Let's go to the console here. Let's refresh. All right, 4, 5, 6. All right, so it's working. 4, 5, 6 is working. All right, what? How? What? Okay. All right. All right, let's take a look. So here we have our array of numbers. We have 1, 2, and 3 inside of this array. Yeah, phenomenon, there's actually more stuff than just the item and the index that for each passes in. We're just using the first two. All right, so we have our array of numbers. We are going to use for each to move through those numbers. Each time this runs, we're passing in, right? We're passing in the number and its index. So the first time this runs, we're passing in 1 for the element and 0 for the index. Then it's going to run again. We're passing in 2 for the number and 1 for the index. And the last time it runs, we're passing in 3 and the index of 2. So item's going to go from 1 to 2 to 3. Okay. Now, what we are using here is the idea that we're grabbing that index and using that to reassign these spaces inside of the array. So it's the same thing as saying, nums 0 equals 4. That's what we're doing. Then on the next one, we're saying nums 1 equals 5. And then on the last one, we're saying nums 2 equals 6. Right? We are reassigning each run we go through. Loss, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. That's what we're doing, right? Right? Cool. Now, the way we're getting there is we're reassigning, but we're also using that element plus 3. So we're going to reassign the first slot to 1 plus 3, which is 4. Then we're going to reassign the second slot to 2 plus 3, which is 5. And then we're going to reassign the last slot to 3 plus 3, which gives us 6. Okay. So here's the weird thing. It'll also work if you wrote const nums 1, 2, 3. So this is where something called mutability comes into play. Const has to do with not reassigning, but we're not really reassigning the whole variable here. We're updating stuff inside of it, which is slightly different. Don't worry about that right now. We're going to get into that next week, but it's slightly different. It's a slightly different thing that we're doing here. Hold on to that. If we can maybe go over it during, I don't want to confuse people too much, but we're getting into that next week. Don't worry. All right. Let's talk about this last one. And then we'll end with a lovely raid. I love the next example though. I love this Dylon example so much. If you're a triple OG and you've been here for a while, you've already seen the Dylon example, but it's my favorite one. It's the most fun I've had like creating this class. So we're not going to get to that tonight. We're going to get to that on Thursday because we're running out a little bit of time here. But it's my favorite example. So I'm going to ask you to peek ahead to because I know this stuff is hard for your first run through. I'm going to ask you to peek ahead, and you're going to see that wonderful example that we're going to go over Thursday. All right. Find the average of all the numbers from question 2. Chat, what would I need to do to find the average of all the numbers in question 2? What would I need to do? I would need to get the sum. And then what would I need to divide it by? Ooh, spaghetti about it. Got it. We needed to get the sum and then divide it by the length. Like that's how we get the average, right? You take the sum, divide it by the total number of numbers, right? That's how we get an average. So that's what we need to do. We need to be able to sum these numbers, and then once we have the sum, we can go ahead and find the average by dividing the length. So figure out how to sum them. How could we sum all the numbers? How could we sum all the numbers? How could we sum all the numbers? Yeah, we could loop through and add each number to a sum. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and create a sum. Let sum equals 0. And then let's bring back our for loop. Bring back our for loop. Let I equal 0. And we're going to say while I is less than nums.length, we're going to go up by 1 each time. And all we're going to do is we're going to take sum and add to it nums I. All right. We're going to go ahead. We're going to loop through once for each number in our array. And each time we loop through, we're going to take that number and add it to the sum. So remember, right now, since we added 3, it's 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to do 4 plus 5, which will be 9. And then 9 plus 6 is 15. So sum, right? Sum will be holding 15. And then the last thing we need to do is we can console log sum divided by nums.length. And if we did this right, we should be able to see the average. Let's go ahead and refresh. And there we go. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So our averaging worked. Averaging worked. Whoop. Sorry. There we go. Our averaging worked. We were able to take each number in the array, add it to the sum, and then take that sum and divide it by the length of all the numbers. So the total number of numbers. So we took 15 and we divided it by 3. Now, yes, there are lots of other ways we could do this. We could have done the for each. We could have done other helper methods like reduce. We could have done other things here, but this is a pretty simple way of doing it. Keep typing nums with the B instead of with the B. That's funny. Cool. Seems like arrays are good for maps. They can be. Yeah, you can use them for that. So tonight, I know was hard, right? I know this is a lot of new stuff. It's a lot of stuff that can be difficult. It's a lot of stuff that if it's your first run through is gonna be hard, right? Your brain should feel like it got some exercise today. But the more we do it, the more we practice it, the easier it's gonna get. And we're gonna have lots of review, okay? You're gonna have lots of review. And so what we wanna be able to do here is make sure that we can set ourselves up for the next couple of weeks, right? So we're tackling these hard arrays. We're tackling hard objects in the next class or two. And it's going to be tough, but we're going to get lots of practice. We're going to do lots of review. We're upping the review session so you get more time to revisit the material, more time to ask more questions, and it's going to click. And this is laying the foundation, right? This is laying the foundation for the stuff that's about to come. We're getting to the end of the basics. Then we're going to start adding full stack skills. And then we're going to start adding everything we need to be a complete engineer. So I want you to be proud of the work that you've done. I want you to be proud for sticking through 3 hours of your brain hurting. That's a lot, right? That shows that you're in it to win it, right? You're here for the worldwide cheer smack. And so I want you to be proud. I want you to be happy. I want you to know that, yes, it's difficult, but you're going to get through it. It's going to make sense. It's going to click. And we're going to have lots of time for you to catch up and for it all to sink in. Okay? So before we leave, I want to say one last time, happy birthday to Alyssa. Thank you for everything you do for this community. Thank you for keeping the chat in order. Thank you for helping in all the little ways that you help on Discord and everywhere else. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Happy birthday. I hope you have some fun with the rest of your day. We are going to end with a lovely raid. So as always, give them a follow, send them some love, say hello, and I'm going to start the raid in just a second here. I'll see you over there. And I will see you all again on Thursday. So let's go over, let's raid, lots of positivity, lots of likes, and I will see you all on Thursday. Let's start the raid in 2 seconds. Boom. Happy birthday, Alyssa. Bye. Happy birthday, Alyssa. Thank you.